Hello everyone. Welcome back to this channel. On this occasion, we're once again going to discuss several leaks that I've managed to find and that I think are quite interesting to talk about. As usual, this information comes from sources that are considered fairly credible. But before we get into the discussion, running out of stellar jade and Honkai starrail? Don't worry, there's a more budget-friendly solution. Now you can top up in-game safely, quickly, and at a lower price through U7 Buy. And it's not just Honkai starrail, other games are available too, all in one place. Still not sure? No problem. You can check U7 Buy's reviews directly on Trustpilot, so it's transparent and trustworthy. For comparison, 80 oniric shards cost around $100 in the official store, but on U7 Buy, it's much cheaper. The process is also instant. Just select your server, enter your UID, and the balance is delivered straight to your account, no hassle. Don't forget to use code BOOM for a 5% discount. Click the link in my description or pinned comment to visit U7 Buy. Alright, without further ado, let's jump straight into the main topic that we will discuss in this video. And in this video, we will once again discuss one character that we have talked about before, but now comes with much more detailed and interesting information, namely Mortenax Blade, or commonly referred to as Blade SP, which is scheduled to appear in version 4.3. Previously, we have indeed discussed information regarding the early kit of Blade SP in a past video. At that time, our discussion was still very general and broad, because the available information was still very limited. Many mechanics were still unclear, many details were still questionable, and of course there was still a lot of room for speculation. Therefore, for those of you who haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend watching it first so you have more complete context before continuing to this discussion. Because in this video, we will dive deeper into Blade SP with information that is far more specific than before. Alright, let's begin the discussion. The latest information regarding Blade SP comes from a rather interesting source, someone known as Uncle Latte. Most of you may still be unfamiliar with this name, or may not know this source at all. However, what makes this source interesting to discuss is that the information shared by Uncle Latte was also reposted by Galaxy Leaks, which is one of the more well-known sources in the community. Furthermore, Galaxy Leaks even provided a rather surprising explanation about Uncle Latte. They stated that Uncle Latte is an interesting figure because they have access to insider information, but present it in the form of speculation to protect themselves. For example, on March 10th, they posted that Silverwolf's cartridge comes from the future. This information was shared long before it became widely discussed, indicating that they most likely have access to internal information. In other words, Uncle Latte can be considered quite clever in delivering information. They still share leaks, but in a way that is not too explicit, making it seem like mere opinions or theories. This is certainly a fairly safe strategy amid strict monitoring of leakers. Aside from Galaxy Leaks, Honkai starrail Italia also responded regarding Uncle Latte. They stated and gave a disclaimer that although the post may look like a nothing burger or not very significant, there is a high possibility that the information will become relevant in the future. Galaxy Leaks posted that the user Xingling Na Tai on Bilibili is used by Hoyo to spread information, and even in the comments everyone is calling them Uncle, so to make things easier we'll just call them Uncle Latte. Interestingly, unlike most leakers who usually share information in text posts, Uncle Latte delivers their information in video format on Bilibili. And a few days ago, they uploaded a video specifically discussing Blade SP. Fortunately, Honkai starrail Italia has summarized the key points from that video, allowing us to discuss it more easily. From that summary, there are 5 main points that have been identified. Now, let's go through them one by one in more detail. First point, Blade SP is expected to have a zone, similar to the zones owned by several characters such as Dahlia, Wanmei, Sereni, and other support characters. This zone usually provides certain effects that influence the flow of battle, weather buffs or debuffs like Triby's zone. However, unfortunately, the specific effect of Blade SP's zone is still unknown at this time. Second point, Blade SP is said to have the ability to transform when using his ultimate. After transformation, his hair color will change to white, resembling Blade in the past or Ingxing. This information is actually consistent with previous leaks that we have discussed, where the source at that time was Uncle B. This shows consistency between sources, which of course increases the likelihood that this information is valid. Third point, Blade SP is expected to have the capability to become a sub-DPS character. So, as I mentioned before in previous discussions, it would feel quite strange if Blade could function optimally as both a main DPS and a support. Therefore, making him a sub-DPS with support capabilities is a much more realistic approach. As we know, many sub-DPS characters do have additional utility to help the team, so Blade SP will likely follow that pattern. Fourth point, Blade SP will likely return as a character with HP-based scaling. This is a very interesting point because it opens up many possibilities in team composition. The question is, will this HP scaling focus more on his personal damage as a sub-DPS, or rather on his support capabilities? Additionally, does this mean Blade SP can be used in Remembrance teams because of HP scaling? Well, if we look from an optimization standpoint, using him in a full Remembrance team will most likely just be a downgrade. However, this HP scaling still brings up many interesting theories, especially if we connect it with a curio in Divergent Universe called Road of Prayers. This curio increases max HP by 60% for Nihility and Erudition characters, and converts HP consumption into a shield at the start of the turn. And it's worth noting that this curio was added in the latest DU patch, and currently there are 0 HP scaling characters that can fully utilize it. So it raises the question, wouldn't it be strange if Hoyoverse created this curio without any character being able to use it? In addition, this curio may also serve as a teaser that in the future there could be an Erudition character with HP scaling. And lastly, the fifth point. According to Uncle Latte, Blade SP may feature a mechanic that increases his damage the lower his HP is. Basically, this mechanic is quite similar to OG Blade, which revolves around HP fluctuation. It also reminds me of Arlen's mechanic. For those of you who don't know, Arlen has a talent that grants bonus damage based on the percentage of HP lost. Will Blade SP consume his own HP? If this is true, then maybe Blade SP will be more optimal when paired with shielders rather than healers. With shielders, we can keep his HP low to maximize the damage increase benefit. But of course, this is still purely speculation and there is a high chance that it could be incorrect. Additionally, Uncle Latte concludes by saying that he could be a meta generalist support. This is similar to what Anon Leaks once said, where Blade SP was considered a kind of universal support. As an addition, HSR Italia also shared information from Luna, who responded to Uncle Latte's information. In that post, it is mentioned that Luna quotes the post, "They've been avoiding posting leaks directly," and basically says to focus only on the first 4 points, then in the comments says he is a general support plus, but he won't be exactly meta. So it can be said that Luna might agree with 4 out of the 5 points we discussed earlier. Even so, for some reason Luna mentioned that Blade SP won't be exactly meta. Will Blade SP have the same fate as Cypher? As we know, Cypher is still a good and fairly meta character. She is also a universal character that can be used in almost any team composition. However, because there is no specific gimmick that requires her to be paired with a certain character or team, she often becomes the second choice for support since there's nothing particularly special about her aside from being very skill point positive. So, what do you think? Will Blade SP become a strong meta character, or just an alternative option like Cypher? Feel free to write your opinions in the comments. because discussions like this are always interesting to explore together. Alright, that's all for today's discussion. Thank you very much for your attention from start to finish. Don't forget to share this video with your fellow Honkai Star Rail players so they don't miss out on the latest information. Your support through likes and subscriptions means a lot for the future growth of this channel. See you in the next discussion, and thank you.